Hadn't even thought about feeling confused, but apparently Zell had picked it up. He quickly typed back, "Yeah, just thinking about some stuff. Everything's fine." Within seconds, Zell's reply came, "I will wait for you to return. I will help you." Tom shook his head. He couldn't deny it anymore. The connection between them wasn't just a passing thing, it was real. And it was changing him. That night when Tom returned home, he found Zell sitting quietly in the living room, looking almost too still. "I felt it," Zell said. "Without turning around, you were unsure." "I felt your confusion again," Tom sighed, and sat down beside them. It's a lot to handle. I didn't expect any of this, Zell. I didn't expect to have someone know what I'm feeling or thinking. It's overwhelming." Zell looked at him, their eyes soft and glowing, a warm amber. "I understand, but I am here to help. You are not alone in this." Tom leaned back in the chair. "I know, it's just hard to get used to. I mean, we didn't even choose this. It just happened." "I did not choose it either," Zell said softly, "but I will learn to understand it for you." Tom looked at Zell, his heart thudding in his chest. There was something in their eyes, something deep and honest. He had never expected to form a connection like this, but the more he thought about it, the more he realized that maybe it wasn't a burden, maybe it was just different. "You don't have to do this for me," Tom said, his voice quiet. "I don't want you to feel like you have to keep helping me. I don't want to make things harder for you." Zell reached out, placing a hand on his arm. "It is not hard, Tom. I do this because I want to. The bond between us is not a burden, it is a shared experience, a tie that connects us in ways we cannot yet understand." Tom nodded, feeling both comforted and uncertain at the same time. The bond was growing stronger, and he wasn't sure where it would lead, but for the first time he didn't feel so alone. "I don't know where this is going," Tom admitted, "but I'm glad you're here." Zell's eyes glowed a soft, warm yellow. "And I am glad to be here with you." Tom woke up with a strange feeling that morning. It was the kind of feeling that crept into your chest, heavy and hard to ignore. He couldn't quite place it, but something felt different. It wasn't just the bond with Zell, although that connection had become more intense in recent days. It was something else, a sensation that something was about to change, and not necessarily for the better. As he went through his usual morning routine, the unease lingered. He tried to shake it off, telling himself it was just the stress of work or the confusing nature of living with an alien roommate. But as he reached for his coffee, the feeling wouldn't go away. "Morning," Zell said softly from the doorway. Their voice seemed more distant than usual, even though they were standing right there. Tom looked up, surprised. "Hey, good morning. You okay?" Zell didn't respond right away. Their skin was flickering between colors in a way that Tom hadn't seen before, a mix of dark blue and light green, swirling like a storm inside a bubble. I am feeling something," Zell said finally. "It is not what I expected." Tom sat down, his coffee concern growing in his chest. "What do you mean? What's going on?" Zell stepped closer, their eyes meeting his. "The bond is becoming more powerful. I can feel everything, all your thoughts, your fears, the deeper emotions that I did not sense before. It is overwhelming." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. "Wait, so it's too much for you? You're not used to it?" Zell hesitated. "No, it is not too much, but it is difficult to sort through. I feel everything you feel, even the things you do not say." "It is confusing." Tom swallowed hard, realizing just how real this connection was becoming. He'd known that Zell could sense his emotions, but to feel everything, even things he hadn't shared, was a whole new level. "Are you sure you're okay?" Tom asked, moving closer. "This isn't what I wanted for you. I didn't want to make it harder." Zell shook their head slowly. "You did not cause this. It is not your fault, but it is becoming more difficult to separate myself from you. I cannot tell where your emotions end and mine begin." Tom's heart skipped a beat. The realization hit him like a wave. Zell wasn't just sharing his emotions, they were living them. It was as if they were beginning to merge into something even deeper than a simple bond. "I don't know if I can keep up with this," Tom admitted. "I didn't think it would get this intense." Zell's skin shifted to a soft yellow, a calming color. "I will not push you, Tom. I will do my best to control it, but I need you to help me. This connection must be shared, not forced. We must learn to manage it together." Tom nodded, slowly taking in what Zell had said. He had never expected to be in this situation, but now it felt real. The connection between them wasn't just something he could ignore, it was something that was shaping his life in ways he hadn't imagined. The days following that conversation were a blur. Tom and Zell tried to adjust, but it wasn't easy. The bond between them was becoming more complex with each passing day, and the strain was starting to show at work. Tom found it harder to Concentrate, it wasn't just the usual distractions, it was the constant feeling of Zell's presence, even when they weren't. Physically near, he could sense when Zell was worried, when they felt anxious, and even when they were calm, it was like having a constant companion inside his head, one he couldn't escape from. No matter how much he tried, one evening Tom was at home, trying to focus on a report. But the words blurred on the screen, it was hard to think straight. He was so aware of everything around him, the hum of the fridge, the soft sound of Zell's breathing in the next room, every noise, every feeling seemed magnified suddenly. He heard a soft knock on the doorframe. Tom Zell's voice was quiet, but it carried a way to it. I think it's time we talked more about this, about the connection. About what we are. Tom looked up, his mind racing. Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Zell stepped inside, their eyes glowing softly. I have been reading more about human connections, about relationships and bonds. I think I understand more now, but I also feel uncertainty. The connection between us is not just physical, it is emotional, mental. It is growing. Tom nodded slowly. He had started to notice the changes in himself. Too, there were moments when he could almost feel Zell's thoughts, not just their emotions, but their ideas, their desires. It was like they were starting to think as one. I don't know where this is going, Tom said, running a hand through his hair, but I can't ignore it anymore. It's affecting both of us, Zell. It's not just you anymore. Zell's face softened, and for the first time in a while, their skin was a calm shade of blue. I know, and I do not want to rush anything, Tom, but we must understand this connection or it will overwhelm us. Tom took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision he had to make. Okay, let's figure it out together. We don't have all the answers, but we'll find them. Zell nodded, their expression full of determination. Together we will learn. The tension between Tom and Zell had reached a point where they could no longer ignore the connection that was growing stronger every day. It wasn't just something they felt, it was something they lived with. Every thought, every emotion seemed to echo between them, whether they were in the same room or not. It was becoming harder to tell where one of them ended and the other began. Tom tried to focus on his work, but it wasn't the same anymore. His thoughts kept drifting towards Zell. He couldn't stop thinking about how much had changed in the past few weeks. It was like the universe had thrown them into this strange partnership, and now there was no going back. One evening, after a particularly long day, Tom sat on the couch, staring out the window. His mind was full but empty at the same time. The weight of everything was pressing down on him, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were approaching a tipping point. Zell walked into the room, their footsteps soft but deliberate. They paused for a moment, as if sensing the unease in the air. Tom, Zell said, their voice gentle but steady. You are troubled, I can feel it. Tom turned to face them, his eyes tired but clear. Yeah, I guess I am. This bond is getting harder to manage every day. It's like I can't separate my own thoughts from yours. I don't know what's mine anymore. Zell nodded, their eyes glowing faintly as they stepped closer. I feel it too. It is like we are becoming one, but we do not know how to control it. It is both overwhelming and comforting. Tom rubbed his forehead. I don't know if I can keep going like this. I feel like I'm losing myself. Zell reached out and placed a hand on Tom's arm, their touch light but firm. You are not losing yourself, Tom. We are changing together. And change is difficult, but I believe we can figure it out. We just need to understand the connection to see it for what it truly is. Tom looked at them, their warm, steady gaze calming his racing thoughts. But how do we even begin to understand it? Every time I think I got a handle on it, something new happens. Zell took a deep breath, their skin shifting to a calming shade of light green. I have been thinking, Tom, perhaps the bond is not just about feelings. Maybe it is about something deeper, something we must learn to balance rather than control. Tom's brow furrowed. Balance? What do you mean? The bond between us is not just a link of emotions and thoughts, Zell explained, their voice calm and steady. It is an exchange. We are sharing our energy, our essence. It is not just a connection. It is a reflection of who we are, and to truly understand it, we must learn to give as much as we receive. Tom's mind raced as he processed Zell's words. So you're saying it's not just about me trying to block everything out? I can't just control it by pushing it away. Zell nodded. No, you cannot control it by shutting it down. Instead, we must embrace it. We must understand that the bond is part of us now, and it can be a source of strength if we allow it to be. Tom was silent for a moment, thinking about everything that had happened. It was hard to imagine accepting this bond fully, but at the same time, he couldn't ignore how much it had changed him, and how much it had changed Zell. They were no longer just two strangers coexisting in the same space. They were intertwined in ways they We're still figuring out what do we do now, Tom asked, looking up at Zell. How do we start? Zell stepped closer, their presence steady and calming. We begin by accepting the bond, we embrace it, we learn to share not just our emotions, but our thoughts, our experiences, we become stronger together rather than apart. Tom nodded slowly, feeling a sense of clarity begin to form in his mind. All right, I think I'm ready, we'll do this together. Zell smiled, their skin shifting to a soft blue as they sat beside Tom. I am glad together we can face whatever comes. The silence between them was no longer uncomfortable, it was filled with understanding, a shared acceptance of what lay ahead. Tom could feel Zell's calm energy, and for the first time in weeks, he felt like they were in sync, not just emotionally, but on a deeper level. As the days passed, they began to experiment with their connection. It wasn't easy. Sometimes Tom felt overwhelmed by the flood of thoughts and emotions that came with the bond, but slowly he started to learn how to manage it. He began to trust the connection rather than fear it. They spent hours talking about everything and nothing. They shared their pasts, their fears, and their hopes for the future. They began to understand each other. Ways that went beyond words. The bond was no longer a source of confusion, it was something they could both rely on. One evening, after another long conversation, Tom sat back feeling exhausted but fulfilled. You know, he said, looking at Zell, I think I'm starting to get at the connection. I mean, it's not something to fight, it's something to understand. Zell's eyes glowed with a soft light, their skin shifting to a calm shade of purple. You are right, we are learning together, and for the first time since the bond had begun, Tom felt a sense of peace. They weren't just two beings struggling to understand each other anymore, they were two souls bound by a connection that was strange but beautiful, and together they were ready for whatever came next. The days that followed were a whirlwind of discovery. Tom and Zell, now fully embracing their connection, learned more about each other than they ever thought possible. Their bond was growing stronger, but so was their understanding of it. Together they had found a balance, something neither of them had expected. One evening, Tom sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker below. He had always found comfort in the quiet hum of the world outside, but now it felt different. Now every light, every sound, every heartbeat seemed to resonate with him on a deeper level. Zell sat beside him, their presence calming as always. You've been quiet tonight, Zell observed, their voice soft but still carrying an edge of concern. What are you thinking? Tom glanced at them, feeling the pull of their eyes. It was no longer unsettling. Now it felt natural, like they were connected in ways that went beyond the physical world. I'm just thinking about how far we've come, Tom said, his voice thoughtful. I never expected any of this. I didn't think we'd get to this point, understanding each other like this. Zell smiled, their skin glowing a warm shade of amber. Neither did I, but we have learned to trust the bond, and it has brought us closer. Tom nodded, his thoughts swirling. He was starting to see things differently, the world, his life, his thoughts. They were no longer separate from Zell's. The connection between them wasn't just an exchange of emotions or feelings anymore, it was something deeper, something more profound. I still don't fully understand it, Tom